Hi everyone, Anna Marie Lombard here, Century Intelligence Consulting, the founder and CEO. And with me today, I've got Gerald Maidens, one of our favorite license users, because Gerald has spent a lot of time with us in training and teaching parents and teachers in the education space. So we work very closely with him. I'm very happy today to share a little bit of his approach and his skills and what he can offer to such a wide group of clients, which we currently feel are desperate for some support. So Gerald, without further ado, can you just share with our audiences who you are, what kind of work that you are doing, so that we can get to learn to know you better?
Yeah, hi, and really good to be on. So I'm a trained pediatric occupational therapist. I've been working for just over 20 years now, based in Johannesburg, and I'm working in a couple of mainstream schools, and then also at a nursery school. And then I recently started towards the beginning of the year at a remedial high school as well. So quite a wide range in terms of occupational therapy with ages. I work closely with the parents as well. And then in my role with Sensory Intelligence, being a licensed trainer, I'm involved very much in the workshops. These are mainly with our teachers in the education space and with our parents. So those roles very much link together a lot of the time. And then also, part of me, I'm a husband, married to an occupational therapist who works at a remedial school, special needs school herself. And then I'm a dad to an 8-year-old and a 7-year-old, 2 girls who are also attending school. So I wear the many hats in my life. I'm a dad, I'm a husband, I'm an occupational therapist, I'm a facilitator. So I chop and change between roles, and it's good how they all kind of bring them together.
People who know me well will say your 2 girls are very, very lucky. They are raised by 2 occupational therapists. So I do think the way that we understand child behavior and human development is very, very useful. Okay, Gerald, the one thing that I wanted to chat to you about, I think there's one thing that we have very much in common, in our role, we're very fixed on or focused on working with the child, which is obviously very, very important. But I think we neglect the fact that both the parent and the teacher actually need a lot of support. And from our professional expertise and the practical application and approach that we have to helping a child in need, I think there's a lot of stuff that we can do to support the parent and the teacher. So just share a little bit with me your opinion and your world around that and how important that is.
I think it's something that resonates with me generally, not just in terms of my work. I believe we exist in a holistic fashion, and we have many aspects around us, many people that make up who we are and are part of our life. And each one of them brings something to us. And I think for me, in the work that we do, both as a therapist and as a facilitator, is that we form a connection often between many, many different people. And we kind of bring those groups in together. And I think it's vital that we work with the children. No doubt, we bring them so much, working with adults independently. I think that relationship between when people leave their contact with you or their context, the room or whatever it is that you're doing with them in a one-on-one in a personal space, it needs to go beyond that. Our life doesn't sit in little boxes that only emerge in one place or the next. And I think often we, in the past, have left other people in the loop out. We've concentrated and we do such a good job in our small therapy context, particularly well in a certain thing at home. And I think that facilitation and ongoing communication, we learn so much from each other as well. Often I say to teachers and parents, you have a lot of the time the answers within you. And I love the term that we use in Sensory Intelligence, we are facilitators. And I think often we allow people to see what they're doing and why what they're doing works so well, so that it gives you an insight into keeping those things forward. So that collaboration is vital. It can't work in isolation, as we as human beings don't live in isolation ourselves. And I think this particular time that we're in is showing us that. I think it teaches us quite a lot there in terms of what we've had before and maybe took a little bit for granted, but where we need to focus a lot more on the bigger context going forward.
Yeah, I agree. I think the one thing that I really like at what you are saying it's so often, for instance, I'm talking particularly to a teacher here. They've got so much experience working with the child in a classroom. So I think we need to go in, but work with them on their turf and actually show them that they've got many of these answers themselves. And how do we unlock that for a teacher? So it's literally empowering them to actually make the right decisions and to be informed, to keep on creating the best learning environment for children, which I think is really critical. The other thing that I want to elaborate on now with lockdown and COVID-19, our worlds are obviously totally taking on a new norm. It's really, really difficult. We have been spending a lot of time with people online, and my heart breaks, particularly for parents out there who have to work and manage their children in the same space. So now suddenly we have a parent that now have to do work, be the parent, but also be the teacher. So have you got some key advice that you can offer for parents in this difficult stage on some practical stuff? So now I want you to really put your OT hat on and bring out those practical tips and tools that you can share. I think particularly for parents, because I'm hearing so much difficulty out there. So share a little bit of your practical tools for parents for lockdown now.
I think the first thing for me is for parents to give themselves a bit of a pat on the back. At a drop of a hat, we were asked as parents in around the whole world to suddenly become parent, to become home carer, to become everything at home, and then a job, which is something we've never ever trained in. We suddenly have to be teachers, we have to implement, and we're in a confined space. So acknowledge how much it is that they're doing, and look inwardly and say, gee, actually I've got up and I'm prepared to go for this stuff. And so that's the first thing for me. The second thing that works very well, we do it, it's a very much an approach that we use in our context, is that structure and organization is critical. To try and set aside very much a structured day and format and a routine that we would follow, a designated space in which we work at. So it's almost like a classroom at home, whether it be your dining room table, your desk within the bedroom that can work, someplace that is defined as that's where we're. Gives you is when you move away from that, you have spaces that are defined as other areas within that organization. So those are two things already. The third thing is that you must structure in the biggest part for our children is play. Play is the center part of their life, and it's actually how they work. And we need to put that in for me for two reasons. It's how our children, it's not their escape only, it's not their release only, it's how they interact with the world and they discover it. So we have to ensure that we're giving them that. And let's not worry so much about the task. I think look at what we've got around and try and make it, where can that be a fun thing, not worrying about an end result that has to be a kind of a perfect thing, that we engaged in those tasks. That's wonderful. That's something that I think is very, very important. And then to have break times yourself. We had a great lecturer in fourth year university. He always used to talk about our tea and cake sessions. And we're doing it at home. We come together in the day. It's either 10 or 10:30. We have tea and a little biscuit or something together, or an orange, something that, because I think that's the other thing. We can get so involved in our work with our children. At school, they don't sit from 7:30 through till 3:00 and work the constant period of time. They have breaks, they have movement things, a very definite ending time for the day, where then that is the time period and it's over for the day. So now they can go and they can do those other things. For me, though, we need to move. Our children are very much are not getting into their movement senses at all. And I think if there's anything that we would do in this lockdown time is to try and allocate 3 movement breaks of 10-15 minutes a day. Walk around, engage everything else. We talk about all our senses and sensory intelligence. We over bombarded with our vision and our hearing at the moment. Let's take a walk around the garden. Let's smell our flowers. We've got a structure. Otherwise, the next thing at 7:00 at night, we're falling asleep.
I love that, Gerald. I kind of made a few notes here, and it fits very perfectly with what we've been helping adults with as well. So I just want to reiterate that for parents out there who's really struggling with lockdown, number one is get the routine going and stick with that routine. I'm personally struggling with that, so really, really important. Secondly, I like the one on environment. Have a designated space where you learn. And then when you move away from that, you take your break and you move away from that learning space. 3 is play. And I think play is the occupation of our children. So the more they play, the more they learn. And I think lockdown is also scary and anxiety provoking for them. So just having play as a medium is a release, but it's also a learning opportunity. And then for parents, having a time for yourself, really, really critical, and not be so hard on yourself. And number 5, move, and move. And move again, just it does regulate the brain. It is a great way for our children to be alert and focused, and it also helps us to de-stress. It's a great de-stressor and a great regulator for the brain.
I think for me, another thing on that is made me think of a quote I was sent a while back. I think that sometimes we look too much at an end thing for a task. The first thing I always ask children I work with, and I do it the same with teachers and parents, is tell me what you see. And I was saying something a while back, you see baking, because if you know me, I do enjoy my food. So you see baking, I see socialization. And I think sometimes we underplay tasks like that. There's so much more that's involved in that. And I think just embracing as many different things as we can to see them for their true value.
Absolutely. And I must admit, I'm loving lockdown because I've got 2 teenage boys, or one is a teenager, one is a first-year varsity student, and the boys are here. So we've got amazing quality time for family. And then the other thing is the boys are very dedicated and involved in chores. So, and I think that's the other thing, we as parents, teaching our kids responsibility and routine and organizational skills, and pack away and clean your room and make your bed. This is the perfect time for us to teach them these basic day-to-day life skills, because purely by doing that, we provide them with important life skills, but we also are teaching them, you learn spatial skills if you make a bed, and spatial skills is necessary for map work and maths. So your world in your home is filled with learning opportunities, and I think we definitely need to tap into the more learning that occurs just from day-to-day activities and day-to-day living. And I agree, I think we shouldn't be so hard on ourselves. Do what we can, lower your standards. I think my key thing for lockdown has been just lower your standards. It doesn't need to be perfect. Do what you can, and if your child is happy, and it's much better than learning a full proper day. We had a group the other day online, and I remember there was a lady, part of the group, well, I could see she was so distressed about struggling with this whole parenting, teaching, and working thing at the same time. And she mentioned her children were very stressed. And I'm like, if you are stressed, your kids will be stressed as well. So take the foot off the pedal, have some fun, relax a little bit, because I think teaching our kids to be emotionally resilient in this stage is really, really critical and important.
And I think also to be, being strong as well doesn't mean that we got to pretend it's all good. I think one of the finest things to sit with our children and say, I don't know. We don't have a context for this whole thing that we're in. There's no reference point for us. We've never gone through this before. And I think it's not a bad thing. I mean, I've learned in this lockdown as well. I've learned so much about myself. And the one thing is, it's actually fine to say I'm not coping. It's fine to say this is hard. I don't know where this is going. Because that allows yourself, why bottle it in? It's not all perfect. We don't have the answers. What that then allows us to do is to say, oh, it's okay. It's okay to be like this. And then, so now what am I going to do? And I always use the analogy with children and teachers and parents is a child has to be open to learning. And often have we had it with children where they're completely overwhelmed and there's just so much going on. Why be in a context then of trying to force learning onto this child? They're not going to take anything in. You'd rather remove. And that's, I think, what the beauty of what lockdown can do. It can get us to reconnect. And once we've got those reconnections, then we can move forward. And I think that's what a lot of parents are battling with as well. I think those conversations are needing to increase within us and within groups.
And I think you're very right there, Gerald. I think by avoiding the subject and not looking, please don't have extensive, long-winded discussions with your younger child. Children 10 and older have got the prefrontal capacity to really think,
Correct.
abstract thinking and thought process around that, but also in a very simple way, explain this to your parents and say that, we're all working in this together, make them feel comfortable, make them feel okay, but it doesn't help you stressing and going crazy.
Sure.
I think your child is not going to pick it up because they will pick it up. So I think
And they
just
often pick it up before we do.
exactly. So I think that's really, really critical there. And now this is new learning for all of us, and we don't know and have all the answers. But I think the more you as a parent are in control and trying to keep everything together, and admittedly say something, we don't know, what shall we do? What's great about my older kids, we have conversations now. Boys, this is what we think. What do you think? So to incorporate, but make them feel at ease at their level, and this too shall pass. We will get past this. And I do think if lockdown brings parents and children closer together, which I think perfect opportunity to do that, then we've actually benefited from this time. I also feel the pause button on the world has been pressed, and I'm trying to take as much from it as possible. And I also think with parents, please surround yourself with positivity. You don't need to read all the news, and please don't get stuck in all these hectic, very emotionally charged Facebook and Twitter discussions. Share what's relevant, move out of it, and protect yourself. Protect your brain from all the negativity out there. It doesn't help. If it was helping, I would have said go for it. It really doesn't help.
And have social media holidays. Now's the perfect time to train yourself for that. So between this time and that time, I'm actually switching off my phone. I'm silencing these news feeds. Do I really need every app? It's interesting what you said with your teenage boys. You sit and you have the discussions, and that's such a good thing to do. My girls are younger, so we can't go down to the park and ride our bikes. Ooh, what are we going to do at home? And there's a practical way for parents to acknowledge that this is something that's tough. We can't go and do what's fun. We can't go here. We can't go there. But what are we going to do? So we had, it was my wife's birthday at the start of lockdown. So it could have been a depressing state where, oh, gee, we can't go out and take her out for a meal. No, we made a nice meal at home. We all got dressed up in our smarts. I think it was wonderful because suddenly it was, we got prepared for something. So I think, yes, it's stressful, acknowledge that. But then for me, what can we do about it? And there's so many positive things, and it's amazing how those just help us. And then, often when you do it, you got to get up and go. So there we're helping our movement senses straight away.
Absolutely. I like the fact that I think lockdown has pushed us in what do we really need. I think it's really connected us with what is our true needs. And there's a lot of stuff that we can live without now. So do we really, really need it? I do need my hairdresser though. I'd love to go back to my hairdresser. So there are some stuff that we need, but I think we also learn to less is more in the sensory intelligence world as well, because we feel the senses are basic. It's a fundamental part of who we are. And if we go back to our senses, we go back to basics. So we certainly believe in going back to basics and making life easier. So I think lockdown does provide that for us. Any final comments, or Gerald, from your side? I think I don't want us to, you and I can talk, I know for hours and hours, but I was just wanting to give our viewers a little bit of a glimpse of our collaboration together. So any final thoughts from your side?
My one piece of lockdown advice, and this is something that I have chatted with at home. It's something we chatted with as a couple and as a family, is be patient. And I think start with yourself. Be patient with yourself, be patient with your spouse and your significant others around you, because from that allows us to really connect. So that would be my one thing with it. And just
Awesome.
try and make the most of what is an interesting time.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Gerald. And my final advice would be, I know the world is upside down, but look right in front of you are the stuff that you truly love. And nurture those and appreciate those. And we all wish you well. We wish you safety. We wish you sanity and good parenting skills. And good luck for lockdown. We will share some information in the blog below. So please subscribe to our channel. Gerald is also listed on our website. For those parents or teachers out there who needs a really great resource to help you, Gerald is definitely your man. So there's a lot that we can do. So thanks for your time. Stay safe and take care.